Myself, Donald. May I introduce myself? My name is Donald Black, and I was born at Achnacosh, Lismore, on the 14th of November, 1928. My father was Archie Black, and my mother, Rachel Nee MacDonald. My sister May was the eldest of the family, and I the youngest, with my brother Duncan in the middle. Also living with us at that time was my grandmother, Mary MacDonald, and her elderly brother Callum, who became something of a surrogate grandfather. My father's parents had passed on. Our maternal grandfather, Donald MacDonald, had been lost at sea when my mother was aged 6. Father was a crofter most of his life and often supplemented his income as a relief lightkeeper, mostly at Lismore Lighthouse. He was also something of a letter writer for many of his friends and neighbours. Those who were not so literate would usually ask the minister or maybe the local school teacher to deal with private problems. But many islanders preferred Father's counsel. When someone called with a problem, they would adjourn to the sitting room. On the return, Mother would have the obligatory cup of tea ready, and no comment was ever made or expected. Details of their private affairs would remain safely in Archie's keeping and would indeed die with them. Mother was a tall, energetic lady, a good baker who was capable of dealing with most jobs on the croft. She enjoyed dancing very much, though my father never danced. She could also play the piano by ear. Like most crofters and farmers, we were more or less self-sufficient. We had our own milk and made our own butter. We grew our own potatoes and kept a pig to supply bacon. We had salted down mutton and dried fish, and so even wartime rationing did not affect us nearly as much as it did town dwellers. My education began and ended in Ballygrundle Primary School, which was approximately a mile or so from home. We covered this distance 4 times every day. We had an hour to run home for lunch and back to school, and none of us was obese. Our teacher, Mary MacAdar, was kind to us. She was a born teacher and was very musical. From time to time she would collapse and had to be helped into the house which was adjacent to the school by the bigger boys. Very soon Mary was seriously ill and had to be hospitalised. Before she was taken to hospital, all 15 of us trooped into the school as to wish her well. I was the only 5-year-old present, yet my memory of this visit has remained, especially when she produced a bag of sweets she had hidden under her pillow and shared it amongst us. Unknown to us, we were bidding Mary a last farewell. She died in hospital 3 days later of advanced tuberculosis. The mortality of humankind had become very real to all our pupils. Miraculously, none of the children contracted this awful disease. It was at this time that May and Duncan went to Oban High School. They had both worked out their studies and passed their qualifying with high enough marks to earn a bursary which would pay their hostel expenses. When my turn came some time later, I had not studied hard, and although I passed, the marks I had were too low to win a bursary. We had a succession of very temporary teachers for a number of years, and for 2 whole weeks in 1940 no teacher at all. Great stuff, we thought, an unofficial and unexpected holiday. At this time we were outnumbered by evacuee children from the Clydeside bombings, 11 of us to 14 of them. Gaelic in the playground was the first casualty of this meeting. World War II affected Lismore as it did the nation at large, and soon our quiet little island became something of an armed camp. One serviceman who was stationed near us used to visit my parents. He was a Londoner named Edward King, who was a keen amateur artist. He introduced me to art, and it has remained an abiding interest of mine ever since. An unusual hobby for a crofter, and yet I have enjoyed painting and drawing, especially on long winter nights. Thank you, Eddie. Without being aware of any athletic talent, at the Island Sports in 1945 I discovered I could run faster than all my friends. James Reid was at one time a tailor at Neil McCormick's on Lismore and had emigrated to Canada about 1910, but he returned to Lismore on holiday in the autumn of 1939 and found himself stranded for the duration of World War II. He had a lifelong interest in athletics. 10 Elft Highland Games were advertised for July 1946. The first games to restart in that first post-war year, and James persuaded me to enter. He prepared me well physically, and though I admit to being rather nervous, I won the 400 metres and was placed second in the 100 and third in the 200 metres. James had sowed the seed, and for the next 11 years I competed round the Highland Games circuit. Once more, I was fortunate to meet with an interesting person, this time who introduced me to athletics. Thank you, James, and I hope I lived up to your expectations. Yes, indeed, coincidence has played an important part in my life. In my working life, I witnessed and was part of a new agricultural revolution. The era of the horse was drawing to a close, and the purchase of a tractor was the aim of my generation of farmers and crofters. Many of the units were becoming too small, and amalgamation further reduced the population. Everyone sought and strove for a better standard of living. Here is the comment or advice of a farmer at Oban Market on a good day. I remember your needs will grow with your income. There was never a truer statement. Like most crofters, I supplemented my income working on the roads or doing any other work that was available. Most of us remember highlights in our lives, and for many of us, our wedding day tops the list. On the 22nd of September 1959, I married Roma Nelson from Glasgow, who had family roots on Lismore and Mull. She was a nurse by profession, and if I took ill, an excellent insurance policy. I may appear to be joking, but many years later, Roma did come up trumps, just when I needed her most. We have worked as a team in the home and in the fields during our working years, though we did take time off to raise and enjoy our family. Let me introduce them: Morag, Gillespie and Rachel. And now we have 5 grandchildren: Ewan, Sarah and Colin. Gillespie and Norma's family who lived in Lismore and off Lismore. Morag and Klaus's family. Alexander, who was born in Australia, and their daughter Charlotte, who was born in Scotland. Rachel, our younger daughter, lives locally, having recovered from a very serious car accident. Being Rachel, she has bounced back. Some years later, there was another turning point in my life. Comunechri Lismore was founded in 1994, and from that date, a committee of 12, helped by volunteers, has undertaken the huge and overdue task of preserving our Gaelic culture and language, our traditions, and the very rich heritage of song. Some members teach Gaelic, others record the island's unique history, traditional and formal. Our society was instrumental in encouraging me to attempt writing in Gaelic. When I was approached by the Oban Times to write a few short Gaelic articles with an English translation, I told no one. Coward. But to my surprise, the first one was accepted. Once again, by accident or coincidence, call it what you like, a new chapter had opened for me. At a rather advanced time in my life, my retirement, I am attempting through these writings to record this island's important heritage of history, legend and story. This is but a short résumé of my life, the best bits, which I hope you might find interesting. A mixture of legend and comment. My inspiration often came when walking the hills, checking on my sheep and cattle. Well, they are not likely to speak out of turn or interrupt. I hope I shall illustrate a life that is often unpredictable, and one in which you have to face problems as you meet them. Just you. There are times when the care of livestock can be trying. For example, at 5:30 on an April morning, while fighting wind-blown sleet, you are at the same time, literally, attempting to breathe life into a newborn lamb. Crofting life is not always doom and gloom. Though on a summer's morning, when one is privileged to view that magnificent panorama of distant blue mountains which is visible from Lismore, from Ben Nevis to the Paps of Jura, all one's trials are soon forgotten. My sincere hope is that anyone who cares to read this miscellany of local stories and comments, whether in Gaelic or English, will find something that will interest them. Dá mi héin. Ha corrichte go fach go wara ma jen mo vea héin smo hingin guús Lismore, ans na bliandachen rondarna coco moor. Maar a raien sivuda, bij rijden goma tointje huwel misje far, 3 fichet agus bliana agus a shia. Roekig me an in Lismore een kerk wat jiuk dan tavin, nu ik jiuk fichet ze hoog. Bij me waar runet I an gunnig, smaar ertje gonne gewaan. Smischen te hunes oudjet en jiwig. Geen missoes en surser le me vuur mee, agus me vraar donnog aan een krucht achig na kruis. Call a ruin, maar me hanaver, maar ik hou me een oog, donwag, agus a braar kawam. Garwag klee weke goram ik erfulwum ik me hanaver, get je bonnig pik komme zich oors over windje. Gaat de juist zich hier beerwe, ach beerwe na koudig. Hun wij kop me jees na hoogje. Het er een hoele hoen was een tui, woen misje chile frieselt of wel waar is een eden. Samoren hier chile kom gunje, een zokker een neusje chin hoekom. Ze kruchtjere van een maar. Af ik heb voor kwam, tus takken Europa en een sabbis Lismore. Wij hoeven zich gemaakt maar. Gaat naar taken Rio en Chile. Kumatrich ik schreeuw lichtig in tonapien ik naar groe veel peru. Ga goed toen je bij Rio kersonnerig en toast ton chamber. Waar kroeg een privetje gegarit en saveltje leertje gone gewaan, saveltje kola waas. Ze beker zorgde maar van een waar runet. Kutjig verig tausig agus kou tolinjinji. Belum le maar pijperneeg, or gaat de gaus Rio. De hele reine jichu er tukkel koma, get naar groen herketig gaun. Iemand de goer staat na goed woordje wundje na kruiptig agus net bliendig een bochtje. Als ik me aan skoon waar een groenel, nur waar me kook bliene. Maar kook juk skoon eran zien, agus bij een mohiert wanneer teacher maar die niet gedoor. Ach overig droog landje kan roon teacher lucht zo er tost woon. Waar we goos met hem open, als je daar waar han ik een baas hoorde de kaim. Bekuin ik hem kopragen go stui gakel pennig klemari ruo. Van wouster een rove kaun hoek me een mag poche schuchkeren. Bij China huurt hager China naar roike agus naar njochentes kuchotjes wieken doen. Go vorstenig hegin kach skoder en galwar onwasig zo. Kom maar vuur toe gaartskolen open, agus geef me vraag koe gosnig, agus machine was zo gemeintje nog ik touw. Smissend hun het jen tjeuwiger in een welwetje kruchtjerg, agus op er zijn bier gaag fijn, maar rein immertig kaai wele veel een kaai opdag. Gaan je mismuntjen kon de geil misje niet zeggen komen die gegawa. Kent voeten naar gezien een barrel de kielen hoek ore koekoudag. No kutuchen het keen, de keunt in perstjes. Kukindjig, ha ichtjak een boeig, ik ne heuna vat as. Nor ma mission aan wawig, han ik een daarna kokig, agus han ik aarigjen. Hun was swoog moortje loch erem steegtjen in Lismore. Ik gila wunin, ik ro oeien op meer eeuwen, het chiner geli to heima varanden. Wewig een gillisin, Edward King, oei, anamse aan eeuwen, no an jawawag, haire wie na chursechat gose. Chursechat gumai de gewistje to chruchtjer fe meer aan. Big sin maar sin, zet oi ma aan uige vat de jourie chursechat. Gaworken fisco, han ik om hoedje kan ik komme se geen ruikel. Ze toen je kore hele Canada hartelijk go reisje ku kemmichen kaiwag haien uilt. Na kiert kleisen kaiwag hoosig aan een abappe als tegen daarna kokig moer. Hoe ze me spaan meer een chine rui, pik aan een ui me hol, veel meer aan. Agus woon me na 3 duurschen een la zorgje zien aan een uike duur tegen ze schia. Hwr Seamus ban am vea, spôr sy len mi gach sawnrug son David yn diwg. Bys i nhw'n y cynnych ag tachars yn sonricht na'r bea agus go trich glar pôsag cawn yn list. Fos mis yn un a glasachu ag yn o cartjas do vwle agus do Lismore. Yn darna wa fichet den dwftin, nwy cyddiwg lichet sy'n wy. Ar bea cawar fi bennych di leisi agus tolachu. Hwg sy'n triwr chlwydja mwrag gilesbig agus rwyned. Agus hanis coit na'r o'ch yn agin. Ewn, Sera as Calen, clown mo vich agus Awaster, Rúca gan Australia agus Charlotte clown vorag. Ha cína go gile gúis sávalte a son cína wa chéile. Ha iad tolach mór ho scuin le chéile, ma ven Roma agus me héin. Ha iad gar cummal á cínginach go jara. En gam mo chingin go oos operach, húna vinna sjaun dóin oper táwi a garach. Hosít na traktarn tjin agus lafhatan an ich tjin go kríach. Man a sjaun chruchtjarn a fas ooste, agus hosít na chruchtjarn a var á vik go káwa. Súig chuge goverich krúnach eile swogen eile. An nuik diuk keerficht se keer diuk hosít kom an echri Lismore agus hennig a veuchige doewiges agus arkanen. Ha ga diuk jen open le dicho son klare genig oren agus skeeuw kunnen eden. Open begor weer enig voor hun vader. En ze do zeggen, voet meer aandacht te schrijven miserio en zo gaat ik kussen hamsjo. Rutte wat java geweest waar ik boek voelum arkanen. Tron a hule tripwets, agus sedevige gehager orom, nur wa me siul haar vader kukoach ma wee. Ha meer wie forstenach, nan fosig agus aan teeuwig hannig woonfosig zien. Jeverig bare rashid. It augurs well for the future of our island that we are at last regaining some pride in our language and culture. I have now begun recording this island's long history, looking from the inside. I shall attempt to comment on what oral sources have bequeathed to us regarding the effects of historical incidents on ordinary people, rather than to regurgitate statistical information, which others can study and access more successfully than I. For several centuries we've allowed others to comment on our customs and our way of life who were looking from the outside, as it were, without any real understanding of the many incidents that have affected this island over the years. No doubt most were honourable, educated and well-meaning people, yet much has happened which was never commented on. Much was often subject to the censorship of omission, although that was left unstated, and that in itself was a form of misrepresentation. For centuries, we were told that the chief handicap to our progress was the Gaelic language. Now, although the educational establishment has belatedly adopted a more tolerant and enlightened attitude towards this ancient language, the danger of extinction remains. The subject I will attempt to cover are wide and diverse, our links with the land and with the sea, place names and their interpretation. Our culture is interlinked with Gaelic, the Caelinites, and the standards set by our parents and the island community, which also contributed to our development. Many of these good neighbours may not have been formally educated, but they were not ignorant by any standards. They had inherited a wealth of information and knowledge relevant to their time and circumstances. Sadly, many had become indifferent to their language and culture and unwilling to pass this inheritance on to us as youngsters. They had come to believe that the propaganda or nonsense that all their culture was an irrelevance, with no place in the modern world, and they were almost embarrassed if the subject was raised. These remarks may help to give some background to what is on offer, and the qualities that make our own island unique. We'll touch on emigration, where sea and fortune have taken our friends, and there were many over the last 250 years. What was their fate? And also that of their descendants who returned seeking their roots. Dry humour and sharp observation were a characteristic of many islanders. Witty remarks and casual asides made by many long-departed Lisich are still alive in many people's memories. Much, I'm sure, awaits discovery. My own personal recollections are in the main happy. Islanders were certainly not living in the past. Many had travelled widely. They did not look inward, nor were they constantly dreaming of better times. The most unlikely people had much to offer, just as each ruin, each knoll carries echoes of some legend or secret or tradition peculiar to a particular spot. Evidence of cultivation is in itself a memorial to some long-forgotten ploughman and another agricultural system. Lismore was no Shangri-La. People are people in any era or of whatever heritage. Small squabbles over land and livestock were fairly common, though seldom serious, more akin to the relationships of an enlarged family. The strength of kinship was one element which could never be ignored or underestimated, and it provided a self-regulating and unwritten mechanism, for want of a better word, which did keep the social fabric of island and highland communities functioning. I certainly believe our island has many of these attitudes. To use a biblical phrase, we are our brother's keeper, whether we particularly like him or not. Crofting and farming are our main industry on Lismore, though systems and methods have changed greatly over the centuries. We are blessed with very fertile soil, a quality that has possibly eased our fight for survival when we are compared with many other islands. Our livelihood and culture were always interlinked. The storytellers and bards were not people apart as academics and writers are in this age. They were crofters, fishermen and tradespeople. What they contributed to their society was more important than their wealth or status. Genealogy, traditional medicine and history served many useful purposes. The tradition bearers were sought when advice was required on many varied problems. These are but a few facets on which I hope to enlarge. Our island's history is long and varied, and I feel often ignored or avoided. The reason for this remains obscure. Here are the words of Angus the Culdee in praise of St. Maluag, who it is said named this island Lismore, the great garden or enclosure, and established his muingeras or monastic fellowship here. Maluag, the clear, the brilliant, son of Lismore and Alba. My earnest hope is that these bits and pieces, legends, comments, history and poetry will be of some interest to those who choose to read them, be they Highlanders or from elsewhere. Let us recall the evocative words of Angus and wish that the sun may shine brightly on all we hold dear on Lismore, now and in the years which are as yet hidden from us. Fachgul Toshich. Mashin margail púlteach a bhí féim rí coicríach a bhí go tin chuost agus a réchgarí agus ar bíomhharí sa hrúsag agus a chláireg. Cas an húg sin a chorm gai beach go gail níchan nach roa túigseach, an do chrút sin margail a bhríag nach roa sin héin cumasach. Bhí gad cúteach a tost bech níchan bhamachid seoagara, gad bhí gad nan smuint héin onarach. Bhí a siúlt in trahúlan cáiach dúbachas a ganag an da bhamúi an túigse agus a gheabhaisteí mach menama. Dé goverich gan túg mise, Crustearnachteach I rio go ruig aart album. Iwn si sean skewakan agus speel aris in Lismore a skrieg. Hásich mi nor a hannig komenechker Lismore kopie. Agus get nach ilmi haast kindjach merch gan a hechnag, fimme me uir bejanne ma weg gan a churan gele. Was in margail rio boeletje gewif, vamig taan wat dan voglaag. Maar sin was in saveltje. Agus chatorig sin korm toch haag, a wie skabbis aroin. Von am sin ha me a wie skrief nicht een goed gewisteri paardig, scheunachgelen, kengewichen arsicheren rischen havig agus een kengerische woede. Hoe me imerak een rood, tjewichen aunewach, hoe komen zich koewe daar rijf, agus a wij der koewe kraun trewi. Maar sin agus mar chaut o'n eilen, vai at sórig de friggerich immerich jene go túvéil an túr, agus sérifachig. Bí cuinag in parantan, agus oras an hicag chéile, a va gan fúwam ach fúwam prísel an dúwachis. Charóiad ainawach ach fisrach an naam, agus in a komische va fémelgai, gus an bewint a chosnag. Van Lismore na eilen enamel tronalingen, agus gosárigte an echgri a chrit of Christel, a hannig goar kwaadlach an sa vlion a koog truficht sa ga. Saun an Lismore a chai kaad eikwish a gai was steachig, an gaadíuk lichat sa hoon, agus chai an art eikwish a gai wa hukal an 3 diuk agus sa fichet. Hannig kom an echgri Lismore kopi an sa vlion a nuikut diuk, keer fichet sa keer diuk. Ha bewachig chin galig, agus ha Lise Jura a fein fúwam gach seachken. A spiat fúwam mit de haast. Hannig bort na galig a ha tors korlet of parlement de halap uit goerst, agus humet kunjagans en tawag an eilein. Nam fachgel heen mar goerskuin a huva roperig as erlene galig. Moor an taint de wastir dunnige vergesten, karige woert, a winter eleniele, zo'n fachgel brosnigi. Hoe mag je doen je gassertjier en een zo 3 miles een keer het blien naar raam griest. En ik sieserig ga bij en ga tjener krutjef. Je gaat het er nog krut niet. Gaan het visakken. En ze jegelin en ik nog ooglanig. En ze dossig een moest agus een kuut. Le team wist ik het le muntje en neden. Agus hij ene een aardje maar guinigen een tabbige gaatje had aan zijn lies. A geistig rifachgil unnes en kewaye, zij mowa genu moluak, hoe kan Lismore maar enem een elen, zo agus is steeg a wintjeres, en ze gerst elen uein horig zo. Lam, luak, gwan geltai, grian Lismore an alap. A mische dages kun door een miskige zo te skewachen, berken, echgri agus orein, Taligus de goedjekin, bigat gaiwacht no kawete, agus maar hoest unus, kan erich grian Lies, agus arkanen aan zijn waien Harry Chech. A short moog. There is an old Gaelic oral saying which translated goes something like this: there is not a knoll or a glen, one more beautiful than the other, that doesn't bring to mind a person or a story. This adage will come to life if you care to join me on a casual stroll, and its relevance will become clear each step we take. We'll begin with a look at Dreamland Haller, the Tailor's Ridge. Here a place name links us with a family, the McGlashans. As you might have guessed, they were tailors to trade. Only a grassy rectangle marks the spot where they lived and worked all these years ago, probably 200 years. The McGlashans were remembered not only for their tailoring skills. They were reputed to possess another talent, one which would have set them somewhat apart from their contemporaries. They had inherited the ability to see into the future, and would be known as seers. In these superstitious times, this would be an attribute which would call for some respect in the neighbourhood. From where, or from whom, were these powers inherited? Let me tell you the story as I heard it. A young couple of this kindred had set off, intending to walk to the church of St. Moluag, where their baby boy would be baptised. This was a 3-mile walk, and they were rather weary carrying the child, and decided to rest at Aldeun, Ewan's stream. We can easily imagine the consequence of resting on a warm summer's afternoon. In the cool shade of the hazel bushes, the soft murmur of the stream soon lulled them into a deep and dreamless sleep. From this beautiful setting, there is a magnificent view of the Kingairlich Mountains and the more distant Isle of Mull. Surely the perfect setting for... Out of the dark crevices they came. On their soft silent wings they came. These were the fairies that were known to have lived there. The child was charmed away, though for how long he was in their care we can only guess. When his parents finally awakened, Their precious little boy was back by their side and sleeping soundly. From one long-gone afternoon, every succeeding generation was blessed or cursed with the power of prophecy. I have been visited by descendants from New Zealand. One Maglashan came to Lismore while in Edinburgh during the festival. He led a musical group with the unlikely name of the Mutton Birds. More recently, his niece visited our local heritage society. I wonder if they are aware of their unique inheritance. After 160 years of darkness, lights have returned to the Taylor's Ridge. The people who live there now may not be Maglashans, but it's good that they have relit the lamp where there was only darkness. Maybe the Maglashans foresaw these lights and the people who lit them. If they did, I am sure they would have been pleased. It is now time to bid farewell to the ridge and to cross Ewan Stream, courtesy of a primitive flagstone bridge which spans it. This crossing has brought to mind a Gaelic verse composed by a future bard in his boyhood. I will attempt to translate this rhyme and I hope retain something of the original idiom. How can I ever cross this river? How can I ever cross this ditch? How can I ever cross this river when my legs they are so short? A few simple words, yet words which clearly illustrate a small boy's problems when contemplating crossing this fast-running stream and realising his shortcomings. Beside the wee bridge is another rectangle of stones, the only visual evidence of the home of Mary the doctor's lass, who lived there and is remembered in a cheerful song. It was composed by the same lad I mentioned who became a talented bard in later years. We'll scramble up a steep brae which takes us to a long sloping field known as Achalanganich, the roaring field, which in turn brings us to the surviving gable end of the house where the bard John McInnes was born. John became a blacksmith and would have learned his trade at Killane's smithy, just across the bog from his home. This was a period of poverty and failed harvests in many of the islands, and in the Highlands, and like many others, the McInnes family moved to Glasgow, where John's skills would be in demand with the Industrial Revolution and the expansion of industry on the Clyde. The lone gable end, all that's left of the bard's birthplace, must have witnessed evenings of fun and song. We can easily imagine the ceilidh nights and the laughter when a family home stood here. As with most poets of local or international fame, love entered John's life, and I'll translate from his original Gaelic. Life must now move on. Although I am bereft of you, can I ne'er forget you or dismiss you from my thoughts? Life must now move on. This is from one of two songs which have survived on Lismore through oral sources, although I've discovered recently that a book of his work was published in 1870. John became known as Ngo Bake, the Little Smith, and just over the road is Struimnakerty, the Smithy Ridge, where the bard strolled with the subject of the song when courting in happier times. Sadly I go walking by the Smithy Ridge, without my lass beside me, the lass I've loved and lost. Life must now move on. Although I am bereft of you, can I ne'er forget you or dismiss you from my thoughts? The bard then continues, and in the telling describes where she lived, and what qualities attracted him. Probably her energy and grace when wielding the flail was one, though the tocher he knew would not be large. Gold did not attract me. What's left me sad and lonesome is the lass that's at the thrashing by her home at the March Dyke Glen. Life must now move on. Although I am bereft of you, can I ne'er forget you or dismiss you from my thoughts? This song was beautifully sung by Mary Catherine McNeil on a television programme and also features on a CD she has recently recorded. One question remains. What was the girl's name? Just a thought. John McInnes has left us with a lasting memorial to an anonymous island lass, and all the glory of her youth. Can any tribute excel that? To the south we'll come to Crucht Callenvoor, Big Collin's Croft. Colin MacDonald lived here probably more than 200 years ago. What have we inherited regarding this hero? He was a large, physically powerful man who was playing shinty with the lads when aged over 70 years, and was said to have removed his boots lest he be beaten for speed. The crumbled remains of his home can still be seen close to the road. Someone else I must mention is Mrs. Buchanan. Though married to Captain Duncan Buchanan, she was born near Sydney, Nova Scotia. Her cottage also stands beside the main island road, and as a boy I had the rather doubtful privilege of weeding her garden. Unfortunately, from time to time, I mistakenly removed both flowers and weeds, and so she kept me under close supervision. Just 10 years old, I could become rather bored after a short time. Anyway, my reward was 2 and 6 in old money, and was worth enduring for. Annie and her husband met in rather unusual circumstances. As a lad, Duncan found work as a herd on a mainland farm, but the conditions he worked in were so awful that he broke his 6-month contract and escaped. He joined a sailing ship, and in time qualified as a master mariner in sail and steam. Many years later his ship was wrecked on the coast of Cape Breton Island. But there were survivors, and among them was Captain Duncan. After they scrambled ashore, the lights of a distant farmhouse came into view, and guided them. This was the home of the Lowther family, among them an unmarried daughter, and yes, you've guessed. Annie Lowther married Duncan Buchanan of Lismore. They had one son, whom they named Sydney after the town of Sydney, Cape Breton. I think you will agree that people and place are inextricably intertwined, showing just how accurate the ancient adage really was. And yes, just round the corner another tale may unfold. Cuairst Courage. Ver a ram be a waris yn erin sio nach ro croch no glewn unas boich yn a chéle. Gan sgew no echgrin ang hús. Sien a nir in a hauns yn jewn ach go sio. Agus meek a si daum Cuairst be an buntan a sio folgeisach le gach keim. Hik a glaum harn an groch agus chys in aadje, mar sio le sgew agus echgrin man Cuairstir. Se man aadje, 3 man thaler. Be mach glas en slunning an thaler. En wat fijne welwend van hier zo voor schoen chorus daar hier blieden. Halarig tuin de haler reachtjen haast. Get das vater van een goede kinding zo cool ri een beetje een Nederlandrischen kan zien aan liefst voor. Ga betaler no me groeig genoen groene gaan worden. En schreef zo kies goed groen komens vast nog groeig dan skach kinderwach ju. Tawant de goede der lee. Fo chaach ans na laien fat as sin. Coas na cofwy a hannig yn oerach un ydych sio. Cha un eisiau gwyn tros siawn sgew lisach mar a hacher. Fa caret o fo chlam vich glasen, a tros len of big na 3 mil do jegwys hyn mwlwag, son gan rachag a vastug. Hannig yn skis ora, o'r van den of trom, agus hwyat a sies yn dŵr na'n grwfyn a gael yn anael. A fisa cynwle je hacher an sin, hwch je dan so ein chatel rytøv an oilt. Enem an oilt, out ewn. Von aadje sio ha sewa gaw in reachkin, ryksin chufater I monnin an kemni jeirlach agus mule. Gaat je leat an doorn an gruven shelach, is kroon an sochker an oilt mar hewn, or an tawig aif hein, agus don jille week. Le kroon aan torrichtje wielen, wijs een schientje lavriu. Mag eens een vrouw een droge hannikat. Skiën uit om schiepholte. Ga je de groenen lenaf, ach koeiat. Biat ze ne schieken. Hawa jat een lena weer faba. Gaan el vis tjeen oenje ga je zeggen, ach nu de goes gevarenten, wij chile koen doof, is hij haast gezaagd naar gato. Wo'n isker sonrichte sin, waan kommas fasnach kruichtans gach kinawach, den chinig mach glaschen. Wat is den chinig zo een eiland voor huun blione, zet an nou in New Zealand, dus je gaan van kuul naar Buttonbards. Ik zet de kuich ek fees gunegen. Gaan vissen willen kommas fasnach galent in haast. Als soms der Chile te grimmend haler, overtollige gages korig maak u kindig dan druim, waarnig wacht dorge dat zo'n cute college blione. Gaan mag glaschen en strooien? Agus gaan u jaraf geile lassen zoals als oer. Veel meer aardje geta, gore overtollige gehouden gewil priepen en wager en reachtje in riest. Agus oerbig oekenig na huidje een skarpig als een druim. Jee een berge wie ik kweenweg glaschen, vaak als je een druimlische huine gore visserich in de wunde. Maar zien voet ik kunt dan ik schewig hoeken, tro soel naar hingen. En met zijn weg kun kortig zelf een kruchtje een uur ruwen. Get de zaten eerst woepen van een vichete lijn. Maar grote zinnen, John Skeel, heb ik een job of zo naar eeuwig nog een doel. Vaak is in Trimenthaler, ik zit in zeggen der zo'n scoetek. Haar is het leg vaten, haar tas in oud eeuwen. En mij kunnig het vachgele waard, mag kunnen ze. En round kludje rijden naar ogen, round beek anassig, mijn gerst oud. Tjemmer heet mij harne haven. Tjemmer heet mij harne jieg. Tjemmer heet mij harne houden. Skan me chassaken ach krielen. Nach maan jawa was smuntjen, gile beek gurri chassig toe gertjen jieg, is een douche gedaan. Gij zien zeggen kunig een hele wo baartig weer kunus. Warig toe, maar een dochter. Gewoon je nach koe en postepeu, uvi stulum heen maar een dochter. Bij zo'n gerst waren. Jiris in een is vroeg kuparke gaan als de show gauwen, gus een artjenier agus in een krene. En een menage, achig wangenig. Zo'n show roekige baard, ik toschige nieuwelin jiug. Agus a tocht of tui, een vrij en laar haast. Geen nee een soers en soerse agus slaandje. En gaan ik bochken ton geildig gas, maar een hage leembetig tjuwig. Beter ga je van op alle woord wassigo. Gelijk geen een goeinig marcheert. Agus bij een vrijdem nooit. En ik gauw te weerwaard. Gauw hoer schiel oran pria. To weiten woig wis kupraag genenem. Eerste van Israël raun as een oranje. Ha kiezen kan ro go go vatte keer naar karret. En ze doch zegt, nach troeke weer kwachen glas dachje waard bouw. Nach iemand de uige grier geidel. Rach gezegd de zoen dat geskeuw het aan de bouwen oosten zien. Zet er gaan we bouw. Get een room je. Kimmer geef me smuintjen. Graag, goemelchiem. Haar officer, haar tisch te goren weg knus en Lismore tron weer waar is. Get de geileurtje waardig glawoerbog en ze vlierde ook kiel duik, 3 vier tegen ze jeeg. Haar is een loon, kies in krocht dan hem, drimne keertig, maar doch gelijk iene wie suri gauw. Smoewatig maar hame, mag niet drimne keertig, kunnen groekig waarom, gauw was graag mogrie. En zien het je in de rust, de kiesje goeien kaartjen rood, dachje goel. En de oren woer me, ze gaak me pronig loenig, ach nie no gewoel wie, ach kon in lakne krieg. Zet er gauw wie bouw, get er room je. Want horen zo heen er television voor hun blieden nog ga. Ze kroeg troehouden, gewil enemne nie in is keiltje. Weer zien oren een smuintje. Ko jene wis goed vorstanig wie bouw gebracht ter oren. Hoek mag genoeg kunnen gaan, maar in een kroeke ook een glore hoogje. Jeetje weer een sparen zien. She's rys a jes, halarach rys an canad, Sjaun liesig krucht chalent voor. Bij sjo chalent donwach of a bew voor huun dachiet blierde. Jea fisak in een mangaskach sjo. Toen je moer waat waar ik kamerach glisne kielen ogen oor wijten. Oos de 3 vier dat ze zich blierde. Het torst jij vroken zonken rachgek ruinas beboeien. Hij kreeg veel krach kruch agus glien. Jager schiescher. Havashan fata marinach as an jay. Column. How intriguing and varied are the incidents which alert memories which have lain dormant for many years. One memory which suddenly returned to me was of my grand-uncle, Callum Bake, wee Callum MacDonald, and the subjects he would often comment on, subjects which are as relevant as we enter the 21st century. Just recently I was searching through old newspapers when I chanced upon an article quoting the late Tex Geddes, who lived on the island of Soy. He was fed up answering questions from tourists regarding Soy. This was his reaction. When I'm making hay, does it ever cross their mind that, though they may be on holiday, I'm not? Do they think I can stand chatting to them all day? Old Callum expressed similar sentiments. Callum was my grandmother's bachelor brother, a man skilled in many crafts, though mainly a crofter. He was capable of training horses, he could build in stone, and was said to have healing in his hands. Callum was a broad-shouldered man who sported a neatly trimmed ginger beard. He wasn't loud or dogmatic in character, yet he could quietly and succinctly state his thoughts on many subjects. Callum was typical of the Gaels of this era, and though many never left the croft, they were treated with respect. Like a surprising number of his contemporaries, he was literate in English and Gaelic. They were products of the parish school system. What now links Callum circa 1930 and Tex in 1994? Well, here's Callum's comment. They come here at the Glasgow Fair, each one thinking that I have time to stand chatting all day long. But if Callum happened to visit Glasgow, they would all be too busy, and the responsibilities too great even to wish Callum the time of day. Maybe island and city customs are fated to remain rather at odds with each other, possibly because of a lack of understanding. Maybe city dwellers have lost touch with our culture out with their ken. On the other hand, islanders and Highlanders are often surprisingly understanding about different ways of life. Maybe life in small communities makes us more patient and understanding when dealing with the vagaries of humankind. On an island you have to be tolerant, for even today island communities should to an extent stay aware of their interdependency. Many of us have been at one time or another victims of backache. We can hardly get our shoes on, let alone lace them. This was poor Callum's lot one morning. Struggling with the chores was agony, and he was shuffling across the road from his byre, scarcely able to set one foot past the other. Unfortunately, who should he meet but Donald Douglas, a lad who worked on the farm next door. He came from North Uist and was something of a prankster. He came face to face with Callum and took up a boxer stance with his fists raised. Callum looked heavenward, and here is his words, which were almost a prayer. Lord, if you could give me back my health just one more time, I'd gladly flatten the insolent sod. There would be no recrimination next day. They understood each other well, as good neighbours should. Unfortunately, Donald's life was short. Not long after this amusing little incident, he was lost in a boating accident off Achnacarrosh. It was an unforgettable autumn night. Every star in the sky shining under the clear, bright light of the harvest moon. Callum was on his way home from Ballygarve, where he had been visiting friends, and he had another 3 miles ahead of him before he reached his home in Achnacarrosh. Nearby was the small township of Clachan, where there are scattered clumps of hazel trees. Here a huddle of men and women stood in the centre of the road ahead, with their heads together, talking earnestly. Whoever they were, it would appear that an aura of secrecy permeated their closeness. As he approached them, Callum greeted them. "A fine night, my friends." No response. He repeated the greeting. They carried on talking as if he didn't exist. Only then did Callum realise that they were conversing in a foreign tongue, neither Gaelic nor English. This was certainly an unusual occurrence in Lismore in the last decade of the 19th century. Only then did he realise that their dress was not of the 19th century, if they were projected from the future. If I might dare make this suggestion, maybe Callum had been chosen to witness a preview of the miniskirt. Callum Bake, Callum son of young John, put his hand on his hips and looked directly at the group who were huddled there. "Well," he said, "you are strange and ill-mannered people. You might at least have shown some reaction." He might have saved his breath. They appeared to be totally unaware of his presence. As Callum walked on, he glanced back once or twice, and they were still there, till he rounded the next bend. Carna Marav, cairn of the dead. Did Callum catch a glimpse of people from the distant past? Or was he witnessing something from a time like our own, which lay far in the future? He shared news of this strange experience with only a circle of very close friends. Callum was not given to telling tall tales, neither was he guilty of overindulging in strong drink, which might cloud any rational explanation of the mystery. Some years ago I used to visit an old friend, John David McCall, who, though he was much younger than Callum, was one of the chosen few who heard the story. Here are John's words. "If I heard this story from anyone other than Callum, I would have said that he was lying or that he was blind drunk, and I can assure you Callum would not be guilty of either." What strange incident did Callum witness on that moonlight autumn night more than 100 years ago? Callum Bake, Callum Donald. Na chana sich go jaraf na cúis na gwúis ar cúine. Mar lavar stúne chúchil for hjún leichet bliana. Gása han a bergen glich Callum Bake Donald, sechat agus na kistjene an roe gael berg, rier tuv, gus an waanju. Nor van meer aansige tro heun fiber neerk. Han ik met haar pies men koers ver tekst geddes nach maren. Maar kon je aan in elen hooi. Want doen je troe schech scharaft in een kistje wie woek toerische courier. Maar hoors tekst fijn. Nor ha mische trang a koop vier. Kan er meer waaien zeuren maar ha ietsen. Wenn het de smuntjen kon schees mische vroeg ruwe vatten la. Ze vachkil Callum Bake, paar ma hanna ver. Toen je vervisrig klechken aan gaio, en han ik kom groeien. Maar waar iemand er kruchtjer wij komen zich trouw, kwacherig, no priestig ik. Toen je tooien, na goftas, le via sakroe, waar raken ro komen slees na laven. Toen je weer gewerkt, gierig zo immer kist, 4 gaio, toen tjaun chinig, han is vast gaun agus bevoren beet. Jenny sin keng uit Callum Donwach aan zijn nieuw duik agus dich haar fichet agus tekst geddes een nieuw duik keer fichet agus een keer duik. Schau maar hoes Callum. Hij gaat dat gwas goe lion suren na vele. Ska gewoon jues, bunnig goed zes misje vatten waar bruin ruwe. Ach na tjinke Callum me go goerste gwas goe. Ga ik tjimek hoen ju. En daarom a wa hos gale, kavak, skurum, kutramach en huil. Ha go kindjach klechkin en na baltjen agus klechkin na gaio, het jemwich dirigheden. Ha ook toerisch na spras, lemberken, tjech elenich na gaiotig. En zo goed woord ju, jusen, maagheile agus toetsjach doorwaches koiach. Strich, we sinule geran ritrin kost, had je het eigenlijk brok aan een chororin, kan goed snoeien en goed naar barrel. Bij zijn staat gauw omroei, een watentje. Wij het chintassen en raad woor, en waai. agus gancan rach chas sechat chas síle. Go mí afstannach cóthach ach dá dúwas, an scamach bh nachrúcht. Cí lág súndach bhaindir uiste túa. Hé sé me chuine cham agus thug gúr rí smuic, mar bhogs Héo cawam mar sin íorbilt, agus seo mar a húrste, mar seosata gúr ní. A hírne, ma ver sífse ás gomal hláinde, úr éile spata mi farvile na hísaf. Having fach go me jéen láváirich. Vi gaat de toetsin chéle, mar choiers nicht ma. A char so gáil ruach gurid, ga je wagan op spata far postach an a kroos, groch sheriff go kindjach. Maar nu gaamijn tosje genoori. Ga rinnak haar metach gan chriech na heremertje priepe. Agus hoele kruif, kroch agus kriek geschissef mach an soost, gewach woei en appagie. A raad ga geen ouder waar kamem. Ga ik bij de karren farno gele, 3 mijlen rooi, go gachi aan een achtig kroos. Doe live waar je toen hem een klachen. Var wat zwacht en koud in de kindjen. Dan sissen van zin, kroelijk aan de hier agus mraan. Kindrig hele, zet de kakkerst kouwa, en chase men en rijdt voor. Garom niet ieder jewicht aan zijn dagen dus zo. Gus aan de woeist kappen maar gelijkjes hoest je ruw. Hij gewone garritjen. Gaat door vaart no frikkerst. Hoe hij vaart jaren en daarna hoer. A goemie zijn een lavers regelen. Schap ik galig, no peerwang gaan. Tachers in het gaan hele en keiwag se bi aan zijn nieuwe lintjieg. A warke de sin garoyat kotichtje aan eten een nieuwe lintjieg. We misschien kunnen nach betunje keltig en Duitse bier van kawampik en ook. Hoe hij uitrieuw als hoesje, wel ze doen je kom aan als een gehoonaf. Gezonnig frikjes je doen je nooit goed als hij vaartje ruiven. Hoe meer der laverstigheden. En gaan we een kind koeig naar rokawa mag toetje. En dan ik schillig toch gauw de line waar vader zegt. Nou schillig rietjeg. Agus die line waar haast rietien. Gaat de goeden arkarit eeuwens en een hoedje. Gaat de jies iemand hachers zo. Ach de hoog de 4 garitjen. Ze doen je 4 in de gewoon. Agus goed jaraf doen je nach roe krijgkrin geworden deurig. Baast goos heen je wint door gelier karit gaar 1 dag mag kouwen nach maren. Bessen vetten hoog hourichte hoe we ski op gauwen. Zo fachkel 1 gaai. Dan koeien we mis aan skeel zo voor goedjes en biach kouwen. Hierin gedroe priagach. No kun de gave smoot joch. Ga pe priagarie. No kujaraf dronger van er karit kouwen mag gool. Jane ze begint de gehooni kouwen met een uige jouwig zo. We gaan kiot bliod. Maar zij schouwen gritjeeg gewoon. Voet ik een binnen skirtig en men af. En jete gaat er jouwigje weer naar maar. Overrieuwig de liskige verhaast naar uner. Als maar korak om zo ra. A koetjig naar oudjewig aan zijn eekwies.
The Precious Fields.
These words are translated from the poetry of an old friend, the late James MacDonald, possibly the last traditional bard in Lismore. These 3 words brought the question to mind. How many centuries have passed since these fields were ploughed for the first time, with the hope that the seed sown would produce grain which could be reaped come the autumn? Possibly there can never be a positive answer to this question, though archaeologists can estimate possible dates. I will now quote from a personal memory, which in turn came from oral sources, on this very subject. When I was aged just 12, my father used to send me to check on the sheep. He grazed on an extension to his croft named Craigenich. The main croft was at Achna Cross, 2 miles distant, and one particular day, after finding that all was in order, none of them on their backs, as happens to sheep with an itchy back, I was now ready to go back home when I spotted someone approaching. There was, and still is, a rough track dissecting the Craigney grazings, which give access to the Ballygrundle crofts. Walking towards me was Neil Livingstone. He was known locally as Scrooger, because of his strong resemblance to a Boer War leader of that name. Neil was a large man who, though fairly elderly in years, was certainly young at heart. He was also known as a tradition-bearer on Lismore and enjoyed a chat with all age groups. Therefore he stopped for a chat, and in the course of the conversation he looked directly at me, and here are his words. "Are you not aware, my lad, that you are standing on the first land that was ever ploughed in Lismore?" What exactly did Neil mean? Ploughing as my generation were familiar with, or did he mean cultivation, by spade or foot plough? Ploughing, as we understand it, was with two horses, pulling a metal plough, and has not changed drastically even in the tractor era from the mid-1940s. As I already said, Neil's story would have come directly from oral sources, which also informs us that his name Livingstone, or originally Maclay, came to Lismore in 562 AD as one of St. Maluag's followers. This progenitor of the clan was said to be the saint's almoner or chancellor. Certainly Neil's story can never be proved or indeed disproved. Yet the opening words of the bard James MacDonald, "The precious fields ploughed by our ancestors are as fertile as ever, though little ploughing is done on the Lismore, the main crop being silage." Lismore men were known widely for their ploughing skills, many finding employment as ploughmen on the firm tuns of central Scotland, where they won awards at ploughing matches, which were very popular in the 19th century. Certainly farming methods have altered greatly on this island over the past 200 years. Every piece of level ground was ploughed with the cattle herded on its rocky knolls. When the ubiquitous potato finally reached Lismore, everyone was very suspicious. So they decided to experiment by planting a test plot on the Black Isle, which is a mile offshore. Well, you can't be too careful with plants from South America, can you? So they decided wrongly that the shaws were the edible part and not the tuber, with predictable results. As you might guess, the ladies were blamed. Oats being the main crop went for grinding at the mill, oatmeal being an important part of the people's diet. Barley was also grown, though to a lesser extent, and often went to the illegal stills, which, though considered illegal, nevertheless were an important part of the island's economy. What a great loss to our culture that so much of the inherited knowledge perpetuated by tradition bearers like Neil was destined to remain unrecorded and is now lost forever. Nadaljan Prísel. Trí fachgil vo vartach chemisch donmach, a wunderel in Lismore, ach trí fachgil a guosh en smuinjaram. Den een lintjen a herre go shechet, on reu kutjigin tavak torach en lies, son a hiut oor. Ach hoer an shin amanerich le jew goches araf a woen nur hikigen a oor. Voten ach el frikker staun gan gistjo, get a vis woeg kechkri to steuerp. Ga wie jaraf gaun a goei. Hen is meer nis a skeel week a pewaris Lismore, faran feishin fianish, heinetig agus go kindjach het er jouwist.